After a series of events, this pregnant mother gets a beautiful surprise. Amelia Bannon was 5 months pregnant when she met with a horrible car accident. She had been laying in the hospital bed motionless in a coma for a long time. It was a miracle that she managed to wake up from her condition, leaving the doctors speechless with no explanation. Read about the heartwarming reason as to why she woke up from her coma. For the then 34-year-old Amelia Bannon, it seemed as though there was nothing that could have kept her from a bright future. She lived in San Pedro Misiones, Argentina, and was living a nice life. She was blissfully pregnant with a baby who would be born later that year. Amelia was working as a police officer who, on her free time, would always be around her hubby, Christian Espindola, her brother and sister, Caesar and Norma, and their kids. The Bannon family made sure to always spend some quality time with each other. It was November 1st, 2016, and Amelia was going about doing her work. She was in the patrol car along with 5 co-workers. Even her husband was present there driving the car. The officers were making their way towards a police course that had been held in one of the local towns. So all of the 5 officers got onto the Chevrolet Onix to drive towards their main destination. But there was a problem. Amelia's husband, Espindola, began to get a little confused. He was not so sure of the route towards their destination and could not really pick up speed. It was such an unexpected turn of event when the car slid, overturned, and flung onto the shoulder of the road near Santa Ana. This frightful accident happened at about 35 kilometers from Posadas in the Misiones province of Argentina. Amelia Bannon and her co-workers were definitely not going to make it to their destination after all. The only person to be left with a serious injury was Amelia herself. She was the only one who had a gut feeling that something was about to go terribly wrong. It was later discovered that Amelia was actually having very weird premonitions about the accident the night before it happened. Following the aftermath of the accident, her husband spoke to Radio Libertad, revealing that Amelia was having nightmares involving car crashes. Espindola spoke about the strange incident, saying she told her companions that they were going to travel only to turn over. She had a feeling. Her fears ended up coming true. A police officer also said, "Pray, because what a pregnant woman says is true." So what was going to happen to pregnant Amelia? The other officers came out of the accident with no injuries to speak about, while Amelia was left in a very serious condition. Amelia was in a very serious case that caused jeopardy to her whole well-being. Moreover, she was expecting, which made it all the scarier. The accident resulted in Amelia's skull getting fractured with a blood clot forming on her brain. They took her to Madariaga Hospital, where they placed her in an induced coma. There was growing concern that she may never get to wake up from this coma. The doctors working at the hospital checked the condition of Amelia Bannon. They found that the baby in her belly was still growing and healthy. Not only was her pregnancy showing signs of progress, she even began to regain her consciousness. Her eyes began to slightly open. When December 24, 2016 came, Amelia began to have her contractions at 34 weeks. Her doctor decided to perform an emergency cesarean section to avoid any further potential issue. She could open her eyes but managed to only move them slightly still. Amelia was still in a coma but still gave birth to a beautiful, healthy baby boy. The baby came out weighing just 1.89 kilograms. Since Santino was born prematurely at just 34 weeks old, the doctor stated this was a very healthy weight for a baby like him. "He was born on Christmas Eve. It was a miracle," said Caesar Bannon, who was Amelia's brother. Her family chose to name the little boy because Santino means little saint. After successfully giving birth, Amelia fell back into a coma, losing all her senses, and was admitted to Neoma de Posadas Clinic. The doctors actually made sure Santino was in the hospital for a month to make sure that he had no complications at all. Before going home with his mother, Amelia's sister Norma Bannon, the hospital wanted to be sure that he aged a little and that he gained a little weight first. "He's growing well, there are no complications. He's a little fighter," Caesar revealed to interviewers. Since the doctors were quite sure that Amelia would not wake up, so it was up to her brother and sister to make plans for Santino's future. but they still never lost hope. Norma Bannon worked as an educational psychologist in San Pedro. She then made a decision to move to Posadas, which is 10 hours away from her home. She did this just to take care of Santino. She did not hesitate to leave everything she had to look after her sister's baby. Norma has a 2-year-old daughter and now stays 4 blocks away from the clinic where Amelia stays in. Her brother Caesar Bannon travels back and forth to help Norma with whatever is needed and occasionally take care of the baby as well. Amelia's brother Caesar soon shifted to Posadas so as to help take care of Santino as well. He made this decision to hopefully lift some burden off of Norma, who has decided to raise the baby full-time. He has 2 daughters of his own and was ready to help. He's a former police officer who now owns a store called Timi Shok. His shop sells police uniforms in the province of Misiones, and also fishing and camping gear. Since he wanted to be close to Amelia, Norma, and Santino, he found an apartment quickly. Norma would make it a ritual to bring baby Santino to spend some time with his mom. Amelia was no doubt unconscious, but that did not make Norma stop placing her baby next to her. She would keep him on Amelia's chest so that they could bond. Norma made sure Santino felt his mother's warmth even if she was in a coma. The video she took would then be posted online by Norma and Caesar. Since Amelia and Santino are in fact mother and son, they were confident that keeping them together would strengthen their connection. Norma kept the daily routine going even though Amelia Bannon was still unresponsive. It still felt like she was unaware of her environment, not able to speak, move, or wake up. Norma and Caesar would still bring the kids to her in the hopes that she would eventually snap out of it. Santino was definitely an important part of this routine. He continuously laid every day for 4 months on his mother's chest. It seemed as though Amelia was starting to react to Santino with regards to his smell or when he cries. The doctor did not expect this shocking incident that happened next. In April of 2017, Norma Bannon came in with Santino for his daily routine visit. Since she was sure that the baby needed to gain some relationship with his mother, wake or not, she never failed to bring him every day. Amelia's coma was not going to stop her. Norma was feeding baby Santino right next to Amelia's bed when suddenly a voice spoke up. That day we heard, there in silence, while we were giving Santino the bottle, we heard a low voice. We heard, "Yes, yes," Caesar Bannon explained. A medical miracle happened because Amelia had suddenly woken up from her coma. Her family members were stunned to see what just happened. It was such a pleasant surprise to see their sister murmur those words out of nowhere. Caesar went in to check if they were imagining things. Caesar wanted to be sure that they were not dreaming and that Amelia was finally awake. He asked her for a simple gesture to see if she understood what he was saying to her. "Stick out your tongue," he requested, and Amelia did so, leaving everybody in complete astonishment. The Bannon family were certain that their darling baby Santino had made all this possible. They were sure that it was due to him that his mother, who had been unconscious for so long, had finally gained enough strength to wake up. It was a total revolution. Norma lay on Amelia's body, embraced her, and wept tears of joy. "It revolutionized our hearts," Caesar revealed, speaking about Amelia's awakening. Was Amelia aware that she had delivered a baby? Was she aware of all the things that had occurred during her coma? When Norma brought Santino to Amelia, she thought it was her nephew. She did not realize that she had given birth during her coma, so her sibling had to explain it to her. After discovering that he was indeed her son, she wanted to get as close to him as possible. She wanted to know more about him and strengthen their bond. One time during their daily visits, Norma placed Santino in Amelia's arms. They could finally get the mother-son bond that they did not get when baby Santino was born. Caesar made sure to tape this beautiful moment and share it online. They went viral in just a short amount of time. The unbelievable story of Amelia soon reached news outlets across the globe. Her story was exceptionally popular in Germany and in Spain. People wanted to get updates on how Amelia was doing. She became a topic of interest who shocked not only the public, but her doctors as well for recovering so quickly. Amelia could initially respond with just a yes or no when asked a question. She could slowly follow instructions and gradually became better and better. She could then cuddle and kiss Santino. She wanted to make up for the 4 months she had lost with him. The doctors were confident that she would be able to walk very soon. Amelia was recovering steadily with the help of her physiotherapist, speech therapist, and psychologist. She had a hard time pronouncing the letter S, but managed to do so after practicing her speech daily. She also underwent kinesiology each day, standing for 5 minutes without support. Her health was improving thanks to all the professional assistance. Amelia began to regain her memory slowly, but still could not remember the accident. She keeps surprising us, her neurosurgeon Marcelo Ferreira admitted. The doctors had her checked up on and found that all the blood clots were cleared up. Amelia was approaching a full recovery. Caesar speaks about the miracle that is his sister's recovery. For us, every day is a miracle, he explained. She was given some Botox injections to help her with her facial muscles. She also ate a lollipop, although she doesn't open her mouth, she still managed to eat it, Caesar exclaimed, feeling very happy to have his sister gain her senses. When Santino's birthday came, the whole Bannon family was filled with optimism. This day was celebrated with multiple photos posted of Amelia Bannon and Santino spending time together. He loved to see his sister finally able to take care of her son, holding him and kissing him. The San Pedro community held 3 festivals to help pay for Amelia's medical bills and even rented her an apartment. Caesar and Norma wished for her to finally breathe in fresh air, so the community raised money for an orthopedic wheelchair. "We are very grateful," Caesar expressed. "They were with us from the beginning because everything demands a lot of expenses." The Bannon family was sure that Santino was to blame for his mother's recovery. He was the reason why she could wake up even after the doctors treating her were sure she never would regain consciousness. The love and support that her whole family showed also played a major factor. Christmas time would definitely be one of the most important times for this family. Christmas is actually Santino's birthday. Here in the image we see Amelia and her son spending time together and spreading the holiday cheer. Having Amelia home and celebrating her son's birthday must be one of the best gifts that the family received this Christmas. One emotional photo of Amelia Bannon would have to be her holding Santino, her miracle boy, while she was in her police uniform. This photo was taken at the Municipal Sports Center of San Vicente to honor Amelia, her miraculous recovery, and her work at the Argentinian Police Department. Amelia is a strong and skilled police officer, so it was not at all surprising that she got back into action very quickly. With her loving brother Caesar by her side, she is now as ready as ever to protect her community from crimes or trouble. They really are sibling goals. The Bannon family are, as we can now all agree, a very loving family. With the tragedy that struck them, it was truly commendable that this family has remained so optimistic and hopeful regarding Amelia's accident. They love to spend quality time and take photos to commemorate them. Santino has a lot of love to get from his aunts, uncles, and cousins. Doctors are not sure if Amelia would suffer from long-term medical effects from the accident, but are more than sure that she would do just fine. Caesar wishes other families would learn to have hope when such experiences fall on them. We are hopeful and want to inspire anybody in a similar situation. We have seen that miracles are possible and that you should never give up.